Here's what you do when your beans are on their last round. These are green bush beans. These are Kentucky Wonder, I believe. There's my super bean dog. And here's my cart full of beautiful, beautiful beans everywhere. I'm gonna take it to the patio and take it. Hi everybody, this is Emily from Grammy's Garden. I put the clip of me pulling my green beans, and what I did, because it's so hot already, see what humidity does to curly hair? Anyway, what I did is I pulled up a chair in the shade of my my little cattle panel arch where I have pole beans going up that, and then I sat there in the shade with my gorilla cart full. It was full of green bean plants to overflowing, and I'm going to show you what I got. I'm going to have to do a canner today and get them done while they're nice and fresh and have still lots of vitamins. So I'm going to set this down and show you. Okay, so needless to say, this is the first bunch getting washed. Now this was my third picking on these. And in that bed that you saw earlier on, in that bed, I had planted 2 rows. And then when I got some of my cabbage and broccoli out of there, I replenished the soil or amended it a little bit with some compost and some good all-purpose fertilizer. And I went ahead and with that and planted another 2 rows in there. So I had 4 rows, and that was a 4x8 bed. So I'm gonna rinse these off, rinse them again. I'm gonna snap them, and I'm gonna rinse them, and then I'm going to can them. The way that I think is probably the best way to do it, and that's put some really hot water and have your jars warm, really warm too. Put some hot water on them, and then put them in the canner, and I can them for, I think it's 25 minutes for a quart. Always have to go look again. So anyway, I'll show you the results of the beautiful beans in the can jars. So this is my start. I wanted y'all to see the second. I didn't want you to think that's all I had. I got these, and then I got these. Okay, I ended up with fewer quarts than I thought I would. I have 4 quarts. I really got them stuffed down in there. I pack them really tight. And I'm doing the cold pack method where the beans are cold and I've just pushed them down in there. I haven't pre-cooked the beans, I guess is the best way to explain it. I got water boiling over here, coming near to a boil, and I've got here on my canner, I've got the water getting hot too, so we've got the right temperatures going. So I'm not going to do it like a tutorial per se, because there's so many wonderful canning tutorials. I've got one of my own on canning green beans, but I just wanted to show y'all. This is, I don't want to call it my end of season, but it's the end of my bush beans, and because pole beans is what I've got going now. So I'm going to put this hot water down in here. It's pretty near boiling. I'm trying to match it as much as I can to the water that's here in the canner. And I'm going to get out a little thing that I have to debubble this. This is my debubbler that I use, and what I use that for is to make sure that any air bubbles that are trapped down in there that wouldn't allow this to really do what it needs to do as far as canning it properly. I just push down in as far as I can. I'm getting pretty far down in there, and I need 1 inch of head space, which means from this part of the jar, that's essentially this first ring, this is essentially the inch. And it'll look like you've got too much water in there sometimes, and when you start debubbling and the air comes out, you really don't have too much water. Okay, now I'm gonna just show you with one jar. I'm gonna wipe this off, and I've just got plain water, because if this was sugary, something sugary, I would go ahead and clean it, and I would use vinegar to do that, to cut grease too. If you've got, like when I can chicken and when I've canned beef, anything or broths, there's fat on the top. There might be fat here on your rim, and you don't want that because you won't get a good seal. So this one's ready to go. You put on finger tight, and that's just like that. You don't really wrench it like that. So that one will be ready to go in the canner. Aren't they pretty? And I put 1 teaspoon.
When I said the 1 teaspoon,
quart.
I was
And then you
making
can go
reference to
ahead
1 teaspoon
and
of
season it
salt.
how you want
And
once
it's
you get it
important
out of
not
that.
to
1
use
teaspoon's not
iodized
gonna make
salt.
them real salty.
And I use a
So when
canning
they come out
salt. You
of the
can use
canner,
sea
I'll
salt.
show you. I keep
Any
saying
salt
I'm gonna show
that's
you when I'm
not
done.
iodized.
But the last jar's going in the canner. Aren't they pretty? And if you see any white beans in there, I came upon some that had gotten so large that I went ahead and shelled them and took the white beans out. People will call those shelly beans. I love it when I come across those when I'm eating green beans. So last one going in. Here we go. Here we go. I'll give you a look, see down in there. I'm gonna put my lid on, and these will process because they're quartz. Once I get to a certain stage in the process, it'll be 25 minutes, and then I can turn it off. So there you have it. Okay, I've got the beans out of the canner. I've got a cobbler, peach cobbler that's just ready to come out of the oven. And then I'm going to try to make, I think it's called Millionaire Pasta. I could be totally wrong. Anyway, I'm going to make that. That looks much easier than putting together lasagna to me. So I'm going to show you what these look like. Okay, it's the next morning, and I have 4 jars here. What I'm getting ready to do is I've taken the rings off, and I'm going to wash the jars and lids in warm soapy water. I just take the clean cloth and do that. And then I rinse them off, dry them, and put the dates on them and put them away. That's it. Have a great day.